He is one of the most popular actors of all time and one of the most popular comedy actors of our time. Some people call him the king of comedy. His performance in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective is memorable, and his role in The Truman Show is still listed on many must-see lists. His unique facial expressions are his trademark. You may have heard that his childhood was not so great, but some say that the person who laughs the most understands the pain the most. Let's talk about this comedy master, Jim Carrey. On January 17, 1962, Jim was born in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. He was the fourth and youngest child in his family. His mother, Kathleen, was a homemaker, and his father, Percy, was a self-taught saxophonist. However, facing life's pressures, he gave up his musical dreams and became an accountant. He needed to support his family, although the family was large and lively. His mother was often ill and addicted to painkillers, which made his mental state very bad and even thought of as crazy. Poverty was not the most fatal thing in his childhood, it was the fear brought by his mother. His mother often talked about her imminent death, which made him often face the fear of death. He was very afraid that his parents would suddenly die, so this little boy spent all his time making his mother laugh so that she would feel a little better. Later he realized that he could not only bring laughter to his family but also to his classmates and teachers. He often performed in class, and after that, he began to record short plays in front of the camera every day. He sent his more than 80 funny photos to the popular comedy variety show, The Carol Burnett Show. He was only 11 years old at the time and was looking forward to it, but he was rejected because he was too young. The challenges his family faced had just begun.
But when I was about 14 or 15, my father lost his job and I actually became homeless for quite some time. Of course, I grew up in Canada, so I thought we had just gone camping.
When he was 13 years old, his father, aged 51, lost his job and his home. Later, his father found a job as a security guard in a factory in the suburbs of Toronto and negotiated with the boss to let their whole family live there. The condition was that they had to be responsible for cleaning the factory. So, after school, several children had to help their father with the cleaning work. At the age of 15, his father saw his son's humorous talent and suggested that he use this talent to make money. Later, his father took him to a local comedy club where Jim had the opportunity to perform in front of the audience. However, he was nervous during his first performance, and he was booed off stage. Later, his father found a job in Hamilton, a city near the Ontario port, and the family's difficult period came to an end. They settled in nearby Burlington, where Jim graduated from Aldershot High School. He also formed a spoon band. When he was 16 years old, due to very poor interpersonal relationships in school, he chose to drop out. After graduating, he went to work at the same steel plant as his father. Perhaps without his father's guidance, he thought it would be okay to work there for the rest of his life and did not want his children to follow in his footsteps. His father took him to all the clubs in Toronto looking for a chance for change. In 1979, Jim decided to return to the place where he was once kicked off the stage. This time, the audience was very satisfied with his performance, and he finally became a member of the stand-up comedy world. With the support of the clubs, he quickly established himself in the local scene and soon transitioned from free to paid performances. After conquering Toronto, he went to perform at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles where he was noticed by another famous comedian, Rodney Dangerfield, who invited him to perform as the opening act for his tour. However, their collaboration did not last long. At this point, Jim wanted to try his luck in Hollywood, so he worked at the clubs while taking every opportunity he could to participate in anything. In 1981, he played a young comedian in the comedy film Rubber Face. This story can be considered his autobiographical film to some extent, telling the story of a happy-go-lucky Tony who temporarily works as a dishwasher at a nightclub and dreams of becoming the stand-up comedy star of the club. In 1984, he was invited to star in the children's comedy, The Duck Factory, which gave him confidence in his rising career. He invited his parents to come and live in Los Angeles, but unfortunately, the project was canceled 3 months later, and his parents were sent back to their hometown. The huge setback also plunged him into depression. However, those 3 months provided him with many useful connections and attracted the attention of some directors. Later, he appeared in the comedy movie, Finders Keepers, where he played a small role as a young boy named Ryan. The movie received mixed reviews, scoring 2 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, but that year, People magazine named him one of America's best young comedians. In 1985, he starred in a horror comedy film called Once Bitten, playing the role of a young Mark, which gave a boost to his acting career. In 1986, he played the role of Walter Goat in Francis Ford Coppola's film, Peggy Sue Got Married. The film was well received after its release, with a budget of $7 million and box office revenue of over $41 million. The following year, the film was nominated for Best Comedy and Best Musical at the Golden Globe Awards and received 3 Oscar nominations. He quickly got the opportunity to participate in the music comedy film, Earth Girls Are Easy. The cast included Geena Davis, Julie Brown, Jeff Goldblum, and Damon Wayans. The film was originally scheduled to be released in 1986 but was postponed due to funding problems and the director's excessive attention to detail. It was finally released in 1989, but did not receive the expected returns, only earning 1/3 of the cost. In 1987, Jim married actress Melissa Womer. Melissa was already pregnant with their first child, a daughter, who was born on September 6, 1987. At first, the marriage of the young couple was not easy. Melissa had to work 2 jobs and Jim performed stand-up comedy to earn $25 a night. Fortunately, they persevered. The road to fame in Hollywood was not easy, and despite working here for almost 10 years, he did not have too much outstanding achievement. However, he did have success on television, as he played a popular character in the TV show, In Living Color. In 1991, the comedy film, High Strung, directed by Roger Vadim, was released. Despite being shot in just 13 days and not doing very well at the box office, the director's sense of urgency and visual tension received positive reviews. In 1992, the film, Doing Time on Maple Drive, was released. This was his first serious role after a series of comedic roles. He perfectly portrayed the alcoholic Tim, showing a different side of himself. In the 90s, he dominated Hollywood comedies. A turning point in his career was in 1993 when he finally landed a major role as the protagonist Ace Ventura in the comedy film, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. This film encountered many difficulties in its early stages. No one was willing to sponsor the script and no famous comedian was willing to participate, so Jim not only starred but also wrote the script. He came up with Ace Ventura's image, including his famous hairstyle. In addition, he tried to improvise during filming and invited his favorite poet and band to participate in the filming. He knew that the film would either be very popular or completely ruin his career. A few days before the film was released, the 2 most influential film critics in Hollywood, Siskel and Ebert, strongly criticized the film after a preview. However, the film was a huge success with audiences when it was released on the big screen. This role brought him true wealth and fame, and he began to receive a constant stream of invitations. The film ultimately cost $15 million but earned $100 million at the box office, and was especially popular among people aged 10 to 20. In the same year, 2 of his other works were also very successful, The Mask, directed by Charles Russell. This time, the role he played was just perfect for him. His exaggerated expressions were fully released in this film. In addition, this film was Cameron Diaz's debut, which marked the beginning of her career. Originally, because of the strong criticism by film critics of his previous films, people in the film industry thought the director was crazy when he suggested inviting Jim to play this role. However, when Russell decided to hire Jim, he decided to turn the story into a comedy, and Jim handled the dual role excellently. Although the film had many flaws, the harsh critics could not help but appreciate it. The film became a classic and was nominated for several prestigious awards, including the MTV Movie Award, the British Academy Film Award, the Golden Globe Award, and the Academy Award. He also received $450,000 in compensation, which was unimaginable for the then little-known Jim Carrey. The Golden Globe nomination was also the first time he was recognized. In the same year, he starred in his 3rd movie, Dumb and Dumber, playing a luxury car driver named Lloyd Christmas. To make his character more interesting on screen, he removed the fillings from 2 of his front teeth. The film was well received by critics and audiences, earning $247 million at the box office on a $17 million budget. He won his first MTV Movie Award for Best Comedic Performance. However, while he was showing his best side to the audience, he was leaving his worst side to his family. As his career flourished, his relationship with his wife deteriorated, especially after the deaths of both of his parents in 1991 and 1994. He also struggled with depression. In 1995, after 8 years of marriage, they ended their relationship. That same year, his other movie, Batman Forever, was released, in which he played the character Edward Nygma / the Riddler. Although the filming process was not smooth, with co-star Tommy Lee Jones expressing his dislike for Jim's antics on set, the movie was a box office success, grossing $336 million and becoming the second highest grossing film of the year. The sequel, Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, continued the success of the series, grossing twice as much as its predecessor. Jim won several awards for his performance, including 2 MTV Movie Awards for Best Male Performance and Best Comedic Performance, as well as a Kids' Choice Award for Favorite Movie Actor. In 1996, he received $20 million for his role in The Cable Guy, becoming the highest-paid comedic actor of all time. He also appeared on Saturday Night Live, a sketch comedy show that parodies popular movies and celebrities. Additionally, the infamous In Living Color comedy skit, which has become an internet meme, also originated from this show. Jim Carrey's career peaked during the late 1990s, with the release of his film, Liar Liar, in 1997 being a significant milestone. He turned down the role of Dr. Evil in Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, to take on the lead role in Liar Liar, which required him to act in a frenzied and manic way. During the filming of the bathroom scene in the movie, he even banged his head against the bathroom floor and toilet seat. Despite initial critical skepticism, Liar Liar was a huge box office success, grossing over $300 million on a budget of $45 million. Even Roger Ebert, who had previously been critical of Carrey's work, changed his mind and became increasingly drawn to his performances. During this time, Carrey was looking for a script that would allow him to fully explore his own potential, and his next significant role came in The Truman Show, in 1998. In the film, he plays a seemingly ordinary man who is unaware that his entire life has been part of a television show. The movie is widely regarded as a must-see and features the iconic line,
"In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." Yeah.
which has become a personal signature for many. This role marked a significant shift in Carrey's career and showcased his range as an actor beyond the comedic roles he was previously known for. The movie, The Truman Show, received high praise from critics, who unanimously recognized it as an interesting, heartwarming, and thought-provoking film. Prominent film critic Roger Ebert gave the film 4 stars and even compared it to Forrest Gump. Jim Carrey was willing to take a 40% pay cut to participate in the film's production. He also won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor for his performance in the film. The following year, he appeared in Man on the Moon, which earned him another Golden Globe Award for Best Actor. In this film, he played the comedian Andy Kaufman, perhaps because he got too deep into the character or perhaps because the tragic ending of the protagonist in the story affected him. His long-standing depression also became increasingly severe. After winning 2 consecutive Golden Globe Awards, Jim began to challenge different genres of films in addition to his box office comedies. For example, in 2001, he appeared in the drama The Majestic. In 2004, he starred in the sci-fi romance film Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, as well as playing the main villain in Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. He then challenged the thriller genre in 2007 with The Number 23. In 2009, Jim Carrey took on the challenge of the biographical film I Love You, Philip Morris, which features a homosexual storyline. His performance in the film brought his talent to new heights, but the movie's explicit content led to it being banned from screening in some places. The film had to cut several scenes and references to same-sex relationships to be released. This movie showcased Jim's ability to deliver impressive performances outside of his comedic roles. Following this, he starred in a variety of films, including the 2013 action movie Kick-Ass 2, the 2016 fantasy independent film The Bad Batch, and the crime suspense movie Dark Crimes. Although the critical reception and box office performance of these films did not match that of his comedies, they allowed him to adjust his mental state through exploring different genres. In 2012, Jim met Catriona White, a makeup artist 23 years younger than him who was also battling depression. The Irish girl made a lasting impression on his life and career, but their relationship also resulted in a series of lawsuits that lasted for years. As an undocumented Irish immigrant, Catriona had to avoid attending social gatherings during her time with Jim. The relationship ended soon after it began, and Catriona later married another man to gain legal status. However, this caused unforeseen trouble for Jim. In 2015, Jim and Catriona reconciled for a brief period, but their relationship ended shortly after. Not long after their breakup, Catriona committed suicide by overdosing on medication. Jim paid for her funeral and appeared visibly upset during the ceremony. However, the situation did not end there. Soon after, Catriona's husband and family filed lawsuits against Jim, accusing him of various charges and presenting evidence against him. The scandal lasted for more than 2 years, and Jim was heavily impacted by it. After the scandal, Jim did not appear in any comedies. He spent his time at home painting instead. He made a return to the spotlight in 2017 on Jimmy Kimmel Live, with a full beard that made him almost unrecognizable. In 2018, Jim was acquitted by the court. Most of the evidence against him was fabricated by the victim's family. However, his career had already irreversibly declined by that time. Nonetheless, his time spent immersed in painting helped him overcome depression and became a new way for him to realize himself. That year, he returned to the small screen to star in the half-hour comedy Kidding. In the series, he played Jeff, a beloved children's show host who was adored by children and parents alike. He brought laughter to everyone around him, but his personal life was shrouded in tragedy. It was hard not to think that the fate of the protagonist in the series mirrored Jim's own fate, as if he were playing himself and his past works could be seen throughout the story. The series was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Television Series, and Jim was nominated for Best Actor in a Television Series, though he didn't win in the end. Nonetheless, it was one of the most outstanding works among many in the same year. After that, he returned to comedy again. In the video game adaptation, Sonic the Hedgehog, he played the villainous Dr. Robotnik. The film opened to a strong $57 million in its first week and ultimately grossed $320 million, which led to a sequel that grossed over $400 million, breaking the box office record for this kind of movie and dispelling people's stereotypes of video game adaptations. When promoting Sonic the Hedgehog 2, he announced that he was considering retirement.
Oh, she said she wants you. Would you do it?
It's a lovely thing.
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing. Well, I'm retiring, but...
Jokingly saying that Jim is a great character, and I'm glad I played him. But it's all over now. The joy of comedy and the difficulties of life often create a huge contrast, and true comedy often hides a tragic core. If you have any experiences that make you laugh and cry, feel free to share them in the comments section to bring some joy to everyone. That's the end of today's story, and we'll see you next time.